Most founders think pitch is where the money is made. However, is the consistent and quiet reporting, the hard work of consistently sharing updates about the work. That's what turns the first fund into the second, third, and the series of fund comes later on. Hi, my name is Nelson. I'm a lawyer and I'm a founder of a legal tech solution, and I've been doing this for 8 years. I've done this across different continents, and I'm sharing today the 3 reports I share with donors or investors based on situation of my business. So I've got initiatives and I've got startups that I provide these updates, investors and funders and donors that I provide these updates to. Reporting funds the next set of checks and funds. It helps build consistency. Investors are people. They trust in consistency. They want to know what you are doing with the money. They want to know what you are learning. They want to know what is coming next. What is the list of features coming next? What is the strategy you are implementing next? And this is why report is good to share with your donor or your investor, as the case may be. So here are the top 3 reports. The first report is monthly updates. So every month, or sometimes depending on your situation of your investor or your donor, many of these people are busy people, and if you feel that monthly would be a bothersome task to put on them to read your reports, then do a quarterly update. So you need to adapt this to your situation, whether monthly is the best fit for this particular donor or investor, or a quarterly update. But one thing is consistent. You need to share what are the milestones, what are the wins last quarter or last month, what are you learning, what are the key metrics, what are the challenge you're facing, and how can, in some instance, how can they help you or introduce you to navigate this challenge? Because sometimes it could just be one introduction away that would help solve that challenge. Every investor or donor wants a success for the person they are investing in, and they would be willing to share that introduction to help you navigate that particular challenge you're facing. And also, they've had to speak to many people over time as they build their products. They've learned 1 or 2 things, so they could share with you some of the lessons that has worked for another person, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel or make lots of mistakes before you learn that lesson. So sharing these updates helps you, and it helps them to get started and to build traction. Number 2 is a commitment tracker and report. This is a report that states what you've put out in your strategy, in your proposal, and in your pitch deck that you're going to do. And this type of commitment tracker report lists the key deliverables or objectives that you wanted to achieve, and you're sharing with them. This might be every quarter or every 6 months that you're trying to share with them. Sometimes, for me, I prefer if a virtual call to do this, not just a report, but to walk them through that commitment that we say we are going to do this, we are doing this, this is how we are doing it, these are some of the lessons. So beyond the first type of report, which is a monthly or a quarterly report, the commitment tracker could be a 6-month, where you request for a meeting and you try to walk them through this. With this, you get you guys have unfiltered communication, and it's not email, it's proper, it's fit, and people are careful with how they speak. But when you are sharing this, you get to understand from the body language, from everything, how they truly feel, and you can also from that and use that to update your your whole strategy, and maybe you need to explain things more in this area for them to understand that. For example, an investor that is from Asia might not understand the cultural fit or cultural nuances of Western or European products, or some of the regulatory needs that you need to go through. These are some of the things that you would understand in a face-to-face conversation, that they don't quite get this, and you need to probably put in more effort in explaining and make them see this by giving examples of how this works. Because oftentimes, when people try to understand, they understand from their own context, from what they know. But you knowing what you've been doing, you might be able to put in more effort to cite more examples that would help them using their own context to understand you better. And of course, they could also be helpful in holding you to those commitments you make earlier. There might be things that you probably have lost track of that you made. They would, if it's of interest to them, is an opportunity in that call to also remind you. But don't wait for them to remind you. Always keep note of those commitments you guys agreed on. The third report I share is a form of a snapshot. Oftentimes, it could be between a 6 month to a 1 year. So it's a financial snapshot of some of the things, your financial status, your burn rates, your runway. These are some of the things that you want to share so that they know your financial situation in the organization. What are the user growth? What are the milestones? These are some of the things that you want to share in that report, and this helps you to continue that engagement and not overburden them. They work with many grantees or investments portfolios, so they have a lot to go through. They have many conversations, many meetings, many reports to read. So putting them in segments across different time of the years help you to stay consistent and to also ensure that you are not leaving any strategic communication out of the box. So structuring them in the first report, which is a 1 month to quarterly, the second report, which could be quarterly to 6 months, and in the third report, which is the 6 months to 1 year, is a good strategy to keep all these reporting organized and ensure that everything is properly communicated and you're staying engaged with your donor. So if you find this type of report interesting, I've got a tool that I'll be launching in the next couple of months. Is a contract review tool. This contract review tool is powered by AI and human, so it's not just AI alone. Reviewing the contract is also human, who are lawyers and contract analysts, who are also further reviewing it alongside AI to give you the best results. So he analyzes the risk, your risk exposure, he analyzes your commitment level. But more than that, the contract review tool would also be providing you opportunity to ensure that you don't forget key milestones and action points or reports you need to set that are stated in the agreement. So if, for example, milestone 1, you need to generate this revenue, it helps you track that by putting it in your calendar so that you are constantly reminded, or you need to follow up for a payment, or you need to pay someone. That also adds that to your calendar and the time frame in a calendar. These are some of the nuances that the contract review tool helps to ensure that you put the right date and time that you need to follow up for payments. And if you need to add late fees, he also suggests that to you as an advisory. If you find this tool interesting, watch out for when we learn. Thank you for watching. Like, comment some of the reports that you've sent in the past, or some of the ways that you get your donors or your investors engaged with your product, because this is essential to your next couple of funds coming through. this is so I had to shoot this video on day 8, but this is another attempt. I'm talking to camera, and why this was a little bit easier. However, I noticed that there's still that uneasiness. I guess there's still, because it's the same day, and over time, I think that relaxed outlook will be more prominent. I think I want to really get those thoughts out in a certain way. However, I need to learn how to show up, but not try to be hard on getting the thoughts out in certain way. Sometimes I feel it's okay to lose some of the key points, because if you try to hit all the points you would like to make, you lose traction of your thoughts, and you probably are unable to articulate. But as time goes on, hopefully I also learn some of the frameworks to reminding myself of the major talking points that I like to keep track of. And if there is anything that could help, please share.